Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we pull back the curtain on corporate dealings and sometimes find out that the wizard is just a guy with a microphone. Today we're diving into a company that is making some pretty significant changes behind the scenes, and trust me, this isn't your typical we're pivoting to blockchain kind of news. Let's get to the bottom of who is leaving, who is staying, and what it all means for BV Financial Incorporated. So BV Financial Incorporated, a company that is under the umbrella of its bank subsidiary, Bay Vanguard Bank, has just filed a report detailing a pretty substantial leadership shuffle. At its core, this filing is about the departure of a key executive and the agreements surrounding that exit. This is where things get interesting. On the 22nd of January of 2026, David M. Flair, who held significant roles as co-president and co-chief executive officer, and was also a director, has stepped down from both BV Financial and Bay Vanguard Bank. This wasn't just a simple resignation, it came with a formal agreement. A separation, consulting, and release agreement to be precise. This means that their old employment contract dating back to 2018 is now completely off the table, replaced by this new arrangement. They are essentially closing one chapter and starting another with Mr. Flair. Now, let's talk about the payout. Mr. Flair is set to receive a significant sum of over $2.1 million. This is contingent on him signing a general release, essentially agreeing not to sue the company for anything that happened in the past. This payment will be made as a lump sum shortly after a certain revocation period expires, which is typical to give him a final chance to back out of the deal. On top of that, he is getting his earned bonus for 2025. This is pretty standard, ensuring he gets what he was owed based on performance. He'll also continue to receive benefits from a salary continuation plan. This plan, which started back in 2017, will now pay him a fixed annual amount of $60,000. This is a form of deferred compensation, providing him with ongoing income after his departure. And there is more. The bank is also keeping an executive split dollar agreement in place. This is usually a type of life insurance arrangement where the company and the executive share the costs and benefits of a policy. It is a way to provide executive benefits, often with a death benefit component that continues even after they leave. But Mr. Flair isn't disappearing entirely. If he sticks to the agreement and doesn't back out, he'll actually be working as a consultant for BV Financial. This consulting gig will run from the 22nd of January 2026 all the way through the 7th of September 2028. Either side can end this arrangement with 30 days notice. His consulting duties will involve advising the board of directors on strategic business plans and opportunities for the company and its subsidiaries. So even though he is leaving his executive roles, his expertise is still considered valuable. Now here is a key part of the consulting deal. It is tied to his equity. He'll get to vest in equity grants that he was already given under the company's 2024 Equity Incentive Plan. Vesting means he earns the right to own those shares or options over time. Specifically, he'll get a chunk of restricted stock and stock options on the 6th of September of 2026, and then similar amounts on the same date in 2027 and 2028. This is incentivizing him to stay engaged and provide those consulting services for the consulting period. However, there is a catch. If Mr. Flair decides to quit the consulting role for any reason during this period, he loses out on any equity that hasn't vested yet. That is a strong motivator to see the consulting term through. On the flip side, if BV Financial decides to terminate the consulting arrangement, Mr. Flair will receive a proportional vesting of his equity based on how much of the consulting period he actually completed. This protects him in case the company ends the relationship. And like most separation agreements, this one includes some standard clauses. There are non-solicitation, non-competition confidentiality, and non-disparagement provisions. These are designed to protect the company's interests after Mr. Flair's departure. These specific restrictions, the non-competition and non-solicitation parts, are only in effect while he is acting as a consultant. Once the consulting period ends, those restrictions disappear. This section is basically saying that what they've described here is a summary, and the actual agreement, which is filed as an exhibit, contains all the full details. They're pointing you to the full document if you want every last piece of information. This is the exhibit number and a brief description of the separation agreement itself. It tells us that the full contract is attached for anyone who wants to read the nitty-gritty. Now let's step back and look at the bigger picture here. BV Financial Incorporated is managing a significant leadership transition. The exit of a president and co-CEO is always a big deal for any company. The sizable payout of over $2.1 million along with continuing benefits and a consulting role tied to equity vesting suggests a strategic move to ensure a smooth transition and retain valuable expertise, while also mitigating potential risks through the release agreement. What is interesting is the structure, a substantial cash payout, ongoing benefits, and a consulting role that unlocks his unvested equity. This creates a strong incentive for Mr. Flair to cooperate and remain a resource for BV Financial for a defined period. It's a way for the company to get closure and still tap into his knowledge without the full-time executive burden. From a business perspective, this could signal a few things. It could be that Mr. Flair was looking for a change, or perhaps the company decided it was time for a new direction at the very top. The fact that they're bringing him back as a consultant suggests his insights into strategic planning are still highly valued. The terms of the consulting agreement, especially the equity vesting tied to performance and continued service, are designed to align his interests with the company's success during this transition phase. If he were to leave the consulting role early, he would forfeit that unvested equity, which is a pretty strong deterrent. However, there is always a risk when a key executive leaves. Even with the consulting agreement, the day-to-day leadership and vision might shift. The company needs to ensure that the new leadership at the co-president and co-CEO level is strong and can effectively steer the ship. We don't see specific financial tables in this particular filing, which is a bit of a bummer for a deep dive into the numbers. But the story here is clearly about leadership and the financial and contractual arrangements surrounding that. In conclusion, BV Financial Incorporated is navigating a critical leadership change. The agreement with David M. Flair appears to be a structured attempt to part ways amicably, secure a release from future claims, and maintain access to his strategic guidance through a consulting role. Incentivized by his equity, the company's direction will now depend heavily on its new top executives and how effectively they can build upon the existing foundation. It's a calculated move by BV Financial, and only time will tell if this careful choreography around executive departure and engagement pays off. What is your take on this executive transition and the generous exit package? Do you think consulting roles tied to equity are a good way to manage leadership changes? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this breakdown helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more corporate insights. And don't forget to join our Discord community, linked in the description, for even deeper discussions. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.